Wizard Merlin and Wart. The boy Wart, destined to become the legendary King Arthur, pushed his way through the blinding snowstorm, each step a battle against the wind. His thin cloak whipped around him, offering little protection against the biting cold. Snow piled high on either side of the path, muffling the world around him. By the time he reached Wizard Merlin's crook tower, his fingers were numb, and his cheeks stung red from the icy air. Summoning all his remaining strength, he banged loudly on the wooden door, desperate to be heard over the howling wind. Inside the tower, Wizard Merlin was comfortably nestled in his bed, surrounded by layers of warm, patchwork blankets. A fire crackled in the hearth, casting flickering shadows on the walls cluttered with books, scrolls, and peculiar trinkets. The loud rapping on the door startled him awake. With a groan, he sat up, his long, silver beard tangled from sleep. Who in the name of dragons dares disturb me at this ungodly hour? He grumbled, reluctantly shuffling toward the door. When Merlin opened it, a blast of icy wind swept in, carrying snowflakes and the shivering boy with it. Wart stumbled inside, nearly falling as the warmth of the room enveloped him. "Wizard Merlin," gasped Wart, his voice shaking as much from the cold as from urgency. "Please, you must help us. The snow is too much. We can't hunt because the paths are buried. The animals in the fields are starving, and soon, so will we. Please, use your magic to melt it away." Merlin squinted at the boy, scratching his beard thoughtfully. His eyebrows arched high, and his tone was dismissive. "Snow melts, my boy, it always does, in time. Nature has its own rhythm, and one mustn't meddle in such things lightly." He waved a hand, as if brushing away the boy's concerns. "You young people are always so dramatic. It's just a bit of snow." Without another word, Merlin turned and shuffled back to his bed, grumbling about being disturbed. Wart stood in the middle of the room, frustration bubbling inside him. He looked around at Merlin's cluttered workshop. Shelves were crammed with jars of strange powders, vials of shimmering liquids, and ancient spellbooks with cracked leather bindings. Then his eyes fell on Merlin's wand, perched on a high shelf. It seemed to glimmer in the firelight, almost as if it were calling to him. "If Merlin won't help, then I'll do it myself," Wart muttered. He tiptoed to the shelf, reached up, and grabbed the wand. It felt warm and alive in his hand, buzzing faintly with energy. Confidence surged through him. He'd seen Merlin perform spells countless times. How hard could it be? He raised the wand high and declared, "By rabbit's tail and fox's pelt, snow I order you to melt." At first, nothing happened. Then, with a low rumble, the snow outside began to shrink, turning into gray slush. Wart grinned, triumphant, but his grin faded as the slush transformed into torrents of water. The rivers overflowed their banks, sending waves rushing across the fields. The once quiet countryside was now a chaotic sea of water. Streams of melted snow cascaded down the hills, flooding everything in their path. Wart panicked as the water surged toward Merlin's tower. Within moments, it seeped under the door, pulling around his boots. The flood rose quickly, soaking the rugs and washing over the stone floor. Drip, drip, drip water from the melting snow on the roof began to leak through cracks in the ceiling, landing with icy splashes on Merlin's nose. Yaw! Merlin shot up in bed, flailing as the cold water woke him. He blinked in disbelief as he saw the state of his tower. His slippers were floating like tiny boats, and the fire in the hearth sputtered under the encroaching water. "What in the name of unicorn horns is going on?" he bellowed, glaring at Wart. The boy stood frozen, holding the wand with trembling hands. "I just wanted to help," Wart stammered. "The snow was too much, and I thought I could fix it, but I think the spell went wrong." Merlin's face softened, though his voice remained stern. "Magic is not something to be used recklessly, boy. It requires wisdom, precision, and respect, qualities you have yet to learn." With a sigh, he snatched the wand from Wart and waved it with practiced ease. "Flood, Flood, I command you to go. Let things be as they were before the snow." A golden light pulsed from the wand, and instantly the waters receded. The fields dried, the river banks were restored, and the animals grazed peacefully as though nothing had happened. Even the rugs in Merlin's tower were miraculously dry, and the fire roared back to life. Merlin turned to Wart, his eyes twinkling with a mix of annoyance and amusement. "Magic is no shortcut to solving problems. It's a tool, not a toy. And like any tool, it can cause great harm when used carelessly." Wart lowered his head, his cheeks burning with shame. "I'm sorry, Merlin. I thought I could help." Merlin placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "You've got a good heart, Wart, but good intentions alone are not enough. Patience, discipline, and humility are what make a great wizard or a great leader." Wart looked up, his eyes wide. "Do you really think I could become great someday?" Merlin smiled knowingly. "Perhaps, if you learn to temper your enthusiasm with wisdom. Now, off with you, back to the castle, and no more meddling with magic." As Wart hurried out the door, the snowstorm had vanished, replaced by a crisp, clear sky. Merlin sighed as he climbed back into his warm bed, muttering to himself, "That boy will drive me mad one day, but perhaps." He is destined for something extraordinary. With that, the wizard closed his eyes, his dreams filled with visions of what was to come.